as a division, finished dead last year in overall ranking. They went 25-43, which is way below 500. Pretty bad. And a large part in thanks to two bottom five overall teams, with the worst in the league, Titans, and the fifth worst, Jacksonville Jaguars. So, taking a look at how these teams did in the offseason, I'm not too thrilled about either of their off seasons per se, but I will say they had nice drafts. You take a look at the Titans draft, and they go out, they use the number 1 overall pick on Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami, and hopefully this guy can help turn things around for them. Last year they were running out there with Will Levis, who was putting up a new meme every week, and I will miss seeing him play, especially with that confirmed shoulder injury. We won't get to see another Will Levis blunder for quite some time, and that really saddens me, but I think this is the right thing for the Titans franchise. But year in and year out, we just see that being the number 1 overall pick means you get drafted to the worst position in football, the worst situation. Look at it with Caleb Williams, look at it with Bryce Young, look at it a couple seasons ago with Trevor Lawrence. These are bad teams for a reason. It doesn't matter how good you were in college. Chances are, going number 1, you're still gonna suck, early on at least. Hard to make an instant impact like that. And even if you do, going from the worst team to the playoffs is rough. So for that reason, I'm out on the Titans. And then when it comes to the Jags, I really admire what they did in the draft with the move up to go get Travis Hunter. I think that I felt pretty bad for Travis Hunter, since he was most likely going to waste his career away on the Browns. I don't think they would have actually utilized him to his full extent. They probably would have ruined yet another career. And with the Jags, I think we're going to get to see him actually play on both sides of the ball, which is astounding. Like, I really hope they give him that opportunity they've done thus far in training camp. And I hope we get to see him in an action in an NFL game, line up both as a cornerback and a wide receiver. I think it'll go insanely hard. And he's just a cool guy. I really admire the way that both Cam Ward and Travis Hunter have composed themselves off the field and on the field. And then, yeah, but even with Travis Hunter, this team just has too many holes. I think that losing Evan Ingram is going to hurt them. Even if you add Travis Hunter, I think that Facial Tootin, a very nice combine performer, but I just feel like with the season that the Jaguars just had, they haven't made enough upgrades. This feels like kind of lateral to last year, and last year I fully believed going into the season that they were pretty close to playoff caliber, but I just can't sit here and look at what they've done and think, yeah, this is a huge revamp and they're gonna make it back in. That's just too crazy of a jump. And then finally, we've got our last two teams with the Colts and the Texans. And now you might be wondering, am I gonna pick the Colts or the Texans as the sole playoff performer from this division? And yeah, you don't have to think about that. It's the Texans. To all my Colts fans out there, I am really so sorry for how the NFL gods have been treating you. It's like you draft Anthony Richardson with the 5th overall just gotta see this guy in action for a full season, which we haven't gotten to do yet. But ideally, you would have gotten to see that in year 1, and now we're in year 3, still waiting for the same thing. And now you have Daniel Jones on your roster, which I don't care who you root for, that would suck. And yeah, it's rough, tough sledding. And then you have the Texans, and I don't think the Texans necessarily got better. You had one of the worst O-lines, the second worst O-line in the league last year, and then you get rid of Laramie Tunsil, and Stephon Diggs obviously is gone. Tank Dill still hurt, but you draft a couple of backup wide receivers and get Nick Chubb. I don't think you've necessarily improved any part of your roster, but you have young guys on the defense that are really good playmakers in Derek Stingley Jr. and Will Anderson Jr. And C.J. Stroud, D'Amico Ryans, the same gang has ran it back in back-to-back years to the playoffs and won a game. So my faith in them is not wavering. I'm predicting 3 seasons in a row for the Texans. So, with that, we get to move into our 7th place finisher in this Divisional Power rankings. And coming in at number 7, I have the NFC South. So both Southern divisions at the smack dab bottom of this list. But I will say, the NFC South gets a score of a 1.5 from me, with 0.5 meaning I have some faith in them, but not complete faith. So, the NFC South, they combined to finish at a record of 28-40 in last season, which is better than the AFC South, but it is the second worst in the league. And so, the 2 teams that I don't think are sniffing, well, one team I don't think is sniffing the playoffs, another one I just don't think they're going, and there is a difference. Not sniffing the playoffs, that belongs to the New Orleans Saints. I think the Saints have really disappointed in the last 2 seasons. I thought Derek Carr was going to walk into this division and essentially own it. I mean, obviously a silly prediction on my end, but I thought they just had a quarterback problem. I thought that their defense was solid, and Derek Carr, trapped in a bad situation with the Raiders for his entire career, it wasn't good in year 1. Year 2, they come out hot, and then it all falls apart. And so, yeah, now they're running it out with 2 guys that I have no faith in Tyler Schlow and Reddit Spencer Rattler. I think this is gonna be the worst team in football. That's my not so bold prediction. I think they're tanking for a QB, which is the right decision. Next up, let's talk about the Panthers. Now the Panthers, I feel like they're still trending the right way. They finished the year on a pretty good note. Bryce Young developing finally. They didn't write him off completely. They're still giving him a chance. They go out and get Dat McMillan, Ted Arroyo. I think that'll be fun. Last year I was pretty high on Deontay Johnson joining the Panthers, and we all know how that turned out. So hopefully this goes a little better for them. But yeah, even with the limited upgrades on defense, I think it's just a bit too early. They were still pretty bad last year, and so I hope they're kind of like in a Anthony hasn't been hurt. He just was bad. So hopefully year 3, this guy can fully deliver on his price point, because you invested a very high draft pick and you gave up your future. Yeah, you gave up a future draft pick as well. Really a crazy deal. So we'll see. Anyhow, after that, we have our .5 team, and for the .5, I'm gonna give that to the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons, I think, have a pretty solid roster. I mean, even heading into the last season, I thought they were gonna make the playoffs, and it took an unreal garbage stretch by Kirk Cousins to keep them out of it. I mean, you have Michael Penix Jr. stepping in for 3 games, and they still almost made it. I mean, he played, I would say, well in those games. Obviously, his stats, nothing that mind-boggling, but they are skewed. 2 of his 3 interceptions in those 3 games coming off the hands of wide receivers and Kyle Pitts. So, I think he played and kept them in those games. He played well, put into a late stage situation, and I think he shows a lot of promise. You've got playmakers everywhere, it feels like. So really they should be able to, but that's what I think. That's what I thought last year. This year, a relatively more unproven guy, so I'm just not the most confident in them this year. But I feel like they have the talent on the roster. They just need to go get it done. So we'll see. And finally, the one of the 1.5 is going to go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs, they surprised me with the loss of Tom Brady and the acquisition of Baker Mayfield. I thought it was going to be kind of an ugly shootout between Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield for who gets the starting gig, just based on reports. I was always rooting for Baker after the way that Cleveland treated him, but I can't say in my wildest dreams I thought he would bounce back like this, taking them to the playoffs in back-to-back years, making the Pro Bowl, I think in back-to-back years, throwing for 40-plus touchdowns last year. He's sensational. He's really great and fun to watch. I like when Baker Mayfield is winning, and they've got a great offense. They just loaded up on wide receiver once again in the draft. I think as long as, guys are healthy, they can do it. Like, if Baker stays healthy, last year, even with all the wideouts getting hurt, they still made it. So, hopefully just more health for them. But I have faith that they can do it once again. Alright, so with that, we can move into our 6th division in this divisional ranking. And our 6th spot is going to go to none other than the Hopkins at football, and Zach Wilson at QB. You had to get better. And they didn't. It's phenomenal stuff. I couldn't have written it any better. So now you move away from all that drama. You get a new head coach. You get Justin Fields. I don't think that that's actually doing anything in this year. I think for the culture, I think for the sanity of your fan base, for everyone involved, it's the right moves. But I don't think it's leading to any success this year. So I have them out. And the next team that I have out of the playoff picture is my own Patriots. As much as I would love to sit here and say that we are sneaky good, we've made improvements on offense and defense and in coaching, it's just such a hill to climb. I do truly believe all three of those statements. I think offensively, finally get a wide receiver in Stephon Diggs. I think defensively, we had a great free agency, getting Carlton Davis, Milton Williams. The names are escaping me, but we did have a phenomenal time on the defensive side, and so I would like to believe we can make the playoffs, but just rationally, it's hard to watch your team win 3 games and then get a franchise quarterback and then win 4 games and then all of a sudden say, yes, in this very crowded and loaded AFC where you can't even make the playoffs for sure with 10 wins, that we are gonna improve by that much and make the playoffs. I'm delusional. I'm hopeful. In season, I'll probably say, but as of right now, I'm not going to give us that credit. And then we have our half team. Our half team is going to be the Miami Dolphins, and realistically, I think this is dependent on Tua's health. Tua has shown us one full great season. He went out, played a full season 2 years ago, led the league in passing, and the Dolphins looked electric. You had Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, Waddle, Tyreek Hill, everyone just lighting people up. They went off for 70 in a game, and it looked like they were totally going to win the division. And then they crumbled late season, lost in the wild card, and just had a very lackluster year last year because of Tua's concussion. And now there's more drama regarding who's on the team. They're not as all in anymore because people have left. So I'm not as high on this team as I was going into last season. If they're healthy, they could potentially do it. I'm not gonna rule it out, but I'm not putting my hopes or my faith in it really. I don't see it fully in the way that I do for the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are the 1 in the 1.5 for the AFC East, and this comes as a shock to no one. If there was anyone underrating the Buffalo Bills last year, if anyone, it was me. I thought offensively, defensively, they got worse. Their time it had come, and they're finally gonna get hit with rock bottom, with the loss of Diggs and Davis and other defensive guys, and instead they won the division. Josh Allen won MVP, and they were like 2 plays away from the Super Bowl. Yes, they did lose to the Chiefs once again in the playoffs. Harrowing, they're haunted, but I still take that season as an absolute win if I'm a Bills fan, because as an outsider, I didn't think you guys could get that far, and you did. So yes, the clock is ticking. You do have to beat the Chiefs. It sucks year in and year out, but you have renewed my faith for like another 3 years that this division is yours, so congrats. Maybe 2 years. Anywho, after that, we move into our 5th division in the power rankings, and division number 5 is going to go to the NFC West. The NFC West, they went 34-24 last season, so this is our first division that has collectively gone above 500, which is pretty good. Going above 500 evidently lands you 5th. In the West, I have given a rating of 2 out of 4, but it's not necessarily what you're expecting. I have 1 for sure, 2 maybes, and 1 nah. And the team that I am low on out of this division, unfortunately, is the Seattle Seahawks. I think the Seahawks, they've just been stuck in limbo these last 3 seasons. I think each of the last 3 seasons they finished at 9-8. 1 year that was enough to make it, and the other 2 it wasn't. You move on from Geno Smith and sub in Sam Darnold. You move on from DK and sub in Cooper Kupp, and you get rid of man, I said his name so many times, and I've already lost it. Was it Ryan Grubb? Whoever the Washington coach was, that was their offensive coordinator. I feel like Ryan Grubb's the wrong name. But yeah, you essentially got rid of some of the things that I thought made you good. And I don't know. I don't think they've made any moves that I think makes them a better team. I personally, even though Sam Darnold had a great year, they have no O-line. I don't think Sam Darnold is going to be nearly as good in Seattle as he was. Cooper Kupp, low-key, he looks washed. Like, just based on him coming back from injury last season, the stats he was putting up, they were not good at all. So I think the Seattle Seahawks have really gotten worse this offseason. I'm not expecting them to make it. Now, our two halves are going to go to number 1, the Arizona Cardinals, and number 2, the San Francisco 49ers. And for the Cardinals, I think they were actually pretty close last year. Like, they made it to the top of the division with, albeit not that impressive of a roster. I looked at their roster and I didn't see anything that eye-popping, but Kyler Murray was back, and with Kyler Murray back, I do think they have a shot. Up until like 2 weeks left, they had a solid chance, and yes, they did kind of fall apart in the second half of the season, but hey, like, their defense was better than I was expecting. They get Josh Sweat, I believe it is, and offensively, I can't say for certain what they've really done to improve this year, but I think that I am still a Marvin Harrison Jr. believer. I am believing that year 2 is going to be better for him because he was just so good in college. I can't imagine that he doesn't have a good career, so it wasn't what I was expecting in year 1, but I think there's still more to come. I think if Kyler plays a full season, we could see them in the playoffs. Like, he's good. He's a good quarterback. So, I'm not ruling it out. And then number 2, the 49ers are puzzling because 2 seasons ago, this was an all-star lineup. It was just Pro Bowlers on Pro Bowlers. They went to the Super Offensive Player of the Year, and in the span of one season, they fell to the worst in the division. They have so many injuries, so many roster changes. Like, you extend Purdy, but you've lost Debo. Ayuk went down with injury early last year. CMC, as great as he is, how can we ever know if he's going to be on the field? And then defensively, you've lost so many guys in this offseason. It's just, even though in my heart I believe they can bounce back, I believe they're a lot better of a team than they were last year. I just logically don't see it. I feel like they've gotten worse offensively and defensively so much since 2 seasons ago that, like, even a bounce back from last year, will it really be strong enough to make the playoffs? I don't know. But, like, I can't imagine they really are bad, so I'm giving them this half. I feel like they'll be better than last year, but they need receivers, like go get Terry or something. Juwan Jennings wants out. I think Pearsall is back off of the PUP. Ayuk out all of last year. It's just, and Debo's gone. I don't know, man. It's rough. Anywho, and that brings us to our number 1, and that's going to be the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams, they went to the playoffs. They beat the Vikings, and defensively, I think they turned a lot of heads. They had the lowest paid defense, but they weren't bad. Defensively, quite adequate. Jared Verse, a beast. So great job in the draft. And offensively, you replace an aging Cooper Kupp with Devontae Adams, which I think is an upgrade. And Sean McVay, he's a great coach. So, I think as long as Matthew Stafford is good for the whole year, no thumb injury or thigh injury or foot injury or back injury like he's currently dealing with, that sidelines him for like more than 1 or 2 games, you'll probably be in the playoffs. Because last year, Puka and Cooper got hurt, and they still made it. So it really speaks to their resilience and grit. And now we've finally made it to the top half of the list. So coming in at number 4, we have the NFC East. And the NFC East went 36-26 last year and had 2 of the teams in the NFC Championship, the Commanders and the Eagles. So obviously a great division. They also had the Giants and the Cowboys, 2 not so good teams. Now, when it comes to the team that I don't think is making it from this division, I'm awarding that to the New York Giants. I think the Giants were pretty far from the mark last year, finally moving away from Daniel Jones, going with a mix of Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito. Thought I heard a train. I don't even know if we live by any trains. Anywho, because Dak was gone and you fired him. So you upgrade the backup receiver. You do have Pickens, but it's just like, I don't know. Defensively, sign Micah. By all means, sign Micah. You have no real window. You kind of have to go all in this year, next year, and then you're going to be bad, like significantly bad again. You already gave Dak the $60 million for no real reason. Just, yeah, do it. Just pay him what he's worth. He's actually worth the money, and figure it out from there. So yeah, if Dak is healthy the whole year, I can easily see them in. That's just how it works. And if he goes down again, I see them out. Plain and simple. Then our two teams, pretty obvious, pretty evident. The Eagles, who just won the Super Bowl, who I think have made decent downgrades on the defensive side, but Howie Roseman is pretty good at his job. They had a great draft, as always. They got Jihad Campbell. I don't know why people let that happen. And, so yeah, I feel like they'll weather the storm, but I think they'll lose the division to the Commanders or the Cowboys inevitably, just because that's how the NFC East rolls. And the Commanders, kind of like the Texans last year, making an all-in push. You go out and get Devo, you go get Laramie Tunsil. You show that you're really invested in winning with your young QB. You were one game away, even though you got smacked. And I think things are good, except the Terry McLaurin situation. And I see both sides of the argument. Terry McLaurin being nearly 30 did catch me off guard. I didn't think he was nearly that old. But bro's one of the most consistent wide receivers. He was the best wide receiver on your team last year. I think your receiving core without him is laughable. Like, with all due respect, Eddie Lacy, Deebo Samuel being the number one guy on that offense. Not on the offense, but on that. I don't know, man. Like, we're gonna see Jaden Daniels struggle if they don't actually get this deal done. So, that's my 2 cents. But I think both the Eagles and the Commanders, they're making the playoffs. And now we get to move into number 3, the third best division in football heading into this year. And that's gonna go to the AFC North. The North, always competitive, always 3 pretty good teams, 3 really good teams, and one that soaks up all the bad karma in the world. We've got a 34-24 combined record last year, and the team that's not going to the playoffs, in my opinion, is the Cleveland Browns. Funny, very, very funny quarterback room of Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel, and Shadur Sanders. And I'm on the Shadur train. I hope that he ends up winning the job here. But even then, I have no faith in this team making the playoffs, let's be real. So, why even hypothesize? Let's move on. Then we've got 3 teams, and I'm giving them all a 1. This division gets a 3 out of 4, and I think all of the other teams have the ability and will make the playoffs essentially. I think, or not will, that's not a prediction, but it's like, they're all playoff caliber teams. I look at them and I think, yeah, that's a playoff team. Got the Steelers, who just made the playoffs. They always do, regardless of who's starting. Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, just throw anything, and Mike Tomlin. He'll get that 9-10 game quota, and then absolutely shit himself in the playoffs. But they'll do it. So last year of Aaron Rodgers' career, they'll manage TJ Watt on that deal. That's really all that matters. If TJ is playing on defense, they're good on defense. Offensively, they'll get by. They'll probably make it. The Bengals, like, this is one where I'm really overruling logic. I don't see anything defensively that makes me think they're going to be that much better. Trey Hendrickson deal has not happened. It took forever for the Shamar Stewart deal. So I can't say for certain they're going to be better. Offensively, you get the boys their money in Jamar Chase and D. Higgins. You also get Gesicki and Noah Fant. So you're paying a bunch of people on the offensive side of the ball. It's just like, it's the wrong side to focus on. So, they're too talented, in my opinion, to miss it again. They missed 2 years ago because the Burrow injury. Last year, just slightly too ass. But I think they'll get it done. I don't think they'll lose the stupid games as much this year because they had some really dumb losses. I feel like they'll be able to avoid those and just get that one extra victory to slip in. Pause. And yeah, finally, that leaves us with the Ravens. When you look at the Ravens, it's just like you had the best roster in football, and you added Jair Alexander and Diop. It's just like, okay, they're gonna make it. They're gonna be great. I feel like Lamar, stay healthy. This is a 1 seed. So, what else do you even need to say? So, heading into our second best division, we have the NFC North. And this might be a little bit controversial just because the North finished as the overall best division last year at a record of 45-23 collectively. But I think there are some changes that have me not as high heading into this year. First up, with the .5s, I have 2.5s, I have 2 1s, and I have 2.5s to give them a score of 3. I think the first .5 is the Bears. Like the Bears, they started off hot. They get their quarterback in Caleb Williams. They're loaded. Well, like, even if Keenan Allen is not there, you still have DJ Moore, you have Roma Dunes, you got Luther Burden III. You didn't get Gendy, which I think is fine. I think running backs will be okay. But you already had Cookman. Now you go get Colston Loveland. And Ryan Poles, I feel like, does a good job every year. And now you have Ben Johnson. So you have all these playmakers on offense. And you get the best offensive mind in football. Like, on one hand, how could they not be way better? Like, I really want to be excited. But it's the Bears, so it's like, I'll never fully be on board. But I'd like to see it. I'd really like to see it. I want to see Caleb Williams kind of quiet some of the hate. I feel like the hate is egregious. I want him to have the kind of success that Jared McCain is having in the NBA. Jared McCain, very much a TikTok guy, very much a nail painter, but Rookie of the Year dogs. And Caleb Williams put into a bad situation. The Bears, unreal implosion after week 6. So I'm hoping for a bounce back here. But he still had like the best rookie year of any Bears quarterback ever. So honestly, one of the best years for a Bears quarterback. So I'd like to see them have some amount of success. Now, coming in on the Vikings. The Vikes, I'm torn. On one hand, I have no idea how you did what you did last year. Didn't see it coming. That didn't make sense. still doesn't make sense. And at the same time, you don't have it anymore. Like Sam Darnold, who knew he was capable of that? Who knew the Vikings could go on to potentially win this division, but actually just come a little bit shy of it and then lose in the wild card? That I saw coming, but I didn't think that they were coming close to the playoffs. And now you lose Darnold, and you're going to start J.J. McCarthy. So on one hand, it's like, you're starting again. You have no idea. This guy's never played an NFL snap. But at the same time, you did it last year, and I had no faith in Darnold. Who's to say that J.J. McCarthy, in his first year, can't be as good as like a, well, I don't want to make a real comparison, but like a Bo Nix. So, I don't know. We'll see. The Vikings, I think their coaching is really good. They have the talent. I don't know if I believe in the quarterback enough. So that's what's holding me back. And the other two, I think, are making it. I think the Lions, yeah, Ben Johnson leaving is going to hurt, but his play calling is still in the building. You still have remnants of it. And Dan Campbell, if he's still there, I have faith. I think that the roster is still unbelievable, and I think losing early last year is going to make them hungry after the Packers. Michael Fuller, I just have faith in him as well. With the way that Jordan Love has panned out in these 2 years, I think that they're going to do just fine. LaFleur has kept them very competitive in his last 5 years. I don't think that's going to change. Even though their secondary is very worrisome. And finally, for the number 1 division in football, we have the AFC West. The West, I'm also giving a 3 out of 4 in playoff caliber teams. They went overall 40-28 last year. The second best in the NFL, falling shy of the NFC North to the West. The reason why I think that they are the best team in football is because, let's go top-down approach for these guys. You have the Chiefs, and the Chiefs, honestly, they don't look impressive defensively. You've just re-signed guys, but this is a team that went to the Super Bowl for 3 straight years, so re-signing guys obviously works. Offensively, Kelsey's a year older, Rashee Rice may be in more trouble, you lose Diop, but still have the new Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown, so still better than 2 seasons ago. And Pacheco should be more healthy. Obviously, you have Mahomes and Reed, and if you have these 2 guys, division's gonna run through them. Like, doesn't matter if they're worse. It's still Mahomes' era, essentially. So, that's that. Then, you have the Chargers. The Chargers didn't do much in the wide receiver department. They bring back Mike Williams. I think he immediately enters the PUP list. So we'll see how that goes. And I feel like that's where they needed the most help in wide receiver. But they did sign. I feel like they got a tight end, but I can't recall. They got 2 stud running backs. You replace J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards with Najee and Amari and Hampton. That's a clear upgrade. Defensively, I think they still have a lot of playmakers, even though they lost Joey Bosa. And with Jim Harbaugh as coach, I just find it so hard to keep them out of the playoff picture. So I'm not going to do it. I think that they're a playoff competitive team, even though they went out sorry and it was bad. was good. And yeah, I'm not ready to throw them out of the playoffs. I think they're still a playoff team. And then you get to the Broncos, and the Broncos, man, when I tell you I wanted to be low on this team, I'm not fibbing. I was ready to look at this roster and say, yeah, good season, great rookie year by Bonix, great job by Sean Payton, past those dirty days, and I was ready to just kind of write it off and be like, yeah, the sophomore slump, the hard division, I don't think it'll happen again. And then the Broncos had like the best free agency of any team, in my opinion. Offensively, better. Defensively, way, like, they had a top defense. And I think they will have the best defense this year. So I just can't see them missing it. I was ready to push them out of the playoff picture. And they are so firmly planted in my mind now. Like, damn. So, it's not them. And that really just leaves us with the Raiders. And truly, I feel bad for the Raiders because they've improved so greatly this offseason. You go get Pete Carroll. You have a quarterback issue. One of the worst QB rooms, QB situations. Go get Geno Smith. Yeah, he's not turning a bunch of heads, but he's way better than what you just had. You have a running back problem, one of the, if not the worst running game. Top running back in the draft class, Ashton Jandy, was in a lot of people's minds the Heisman Trophy winner. Obviously he didn't win, but the guy a lot of people wanted to win. And your organization has done so much better. And yet the division is just so tough. I don't think you can string together enough wins. Like, we've never seen an entire team an entire division make the playoffs. I just don't feel as good about them as any of the others. But really, I do like how much better they've gotten, and I wish I could put them in the playoff picture. But I don't think they're fully there, and it's just the worst division to make all these improvements in, because it's like, it's so tough. So unfortunately, I'm giving them a 0. I want to give them a 0.5, but it's like a lot of their losses are probably coming from within the division, which is tough. So I'm capping it at 3, but I could be convinced to a 3.5 maybe. But we'll see. And so that concludes our NFL Divisional Power Rankings. To recap, we have the AFC West in first place, followed by the NFC North in second, the AFC North in third, the NFC East in fourth, the NFC West in fifth, the AFC East in sixth, the NFC South in seventh, and finally the AFC South in eighth. Let me know in the comments if you agree, disagree, how you feel about my analysis of these divisions and your teams individually, what you would change. And yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to have you back. I hope that this was an enjoyable experience. I know it's been a minute, but we're back and we're rolling. So if you enjoy content like this, make sure to check out my next video, which will be coming in the upcoming days, which will be a quarterback tier list where I rank every single quarterback situation